Hi, I'm Wendy from Shiny Happy World, and today I'm going to show you how to put a button on a stuffed pincushion to squish it in the middle.
Okay.
First, I want to show you a couple of the things that we're going to be working with. I have a pincushion that I've already stuffed and sewn up, and I put some rickrack around the edge to cover up the seam. But before I stuffed it, I made a mark of the center. It's just a little tiny marker dot, and I did the same thing on the back side of it. So while it was flat, I folded it into fourths, and that was the mark to get the exact center. Once it's stuffed, it's really hard to find the exact center. And it's going to be pretty noticeable when after you've got a button in there that you are off center. The other thing that I've got, this is a doll making needle. It's a long, strong needle. You don't have to use this. You need a needle that'll go all the way through your fat pincushion, but I happen to have a doll making needle, and so I use it. I've got this threaded with quilting thread because that's stronger, but you can use just regular thread. And I want to show you, I've got the knot here, and I've got a very long tail on it, and it's doubled over. So the thread, I've got two tails coming out of that knot. And I'll show you in a minute what we are doing with that. So I've got this pincushion. It's stuffed really hard. Pincushions work best if they're stuffed get as much stuffing in there as you can possibly pack in. And then I'm going to just put a button on both sides in the center, and that's going to make it actually even a little bit tighter. But before I put the button on, I want to get my thread started. So I'm going to put my needle in where my dot is, and I'm going to come out on this other side. Now there's going to be so much pressure on this thread, that knot is not going to stop it. So I'm not pulling my thread all the way through. I'm going to take another stitch down, and I'm going to come out on the other side and make sure that I'm coming out at my dot, just on the other side of my dot. And now what I'm going to do is run my thread or my needle through the little loop just on the front of the knot. So the knot is going to hold my thread pulled, but it's not holding it. It's not, there's no fear of it pulling through because it's going to be stopped by the thread. And then I want to pull that as tight as I can get it. And that's going to give me a nice little dimple in there. And if you do that before you attach the buttons, it's much easier for you to place what you're doing. So now that I've got that dimple there, I'm going to keep these tails over to the side. The back side is where I'm going to put the smaller of the two buttons. So I'm going to thread my needles through the button and go right into that dimple. And I'm going to come out in the dimple on the other side. Before I pull this through, it just loosened up, so I'm going to pull it tight one more time. Now I'm going to pull that through, and that's going to look nice there. Again, pull it tight as I go, but don't pull it so tight that you break your threads. That's really easy to do. Now I'm going to set it down. I'm going to go through my other button here. I'm using a slightly bigger button on this side just because I didn't have two that matched. Back through the dimple. And this time I'm going to come up through my button. So it's going to get a little bit trickier as I go along. And every time I'm going to work on pulling that as tight as I can without breaking the thread. That's always the trick on these. So now I'm just going to take several stitches here. Turn that so you can see. And again, set your needle down and give it a good tug. Go through. Now I'm going to try crisscrossing the other way. These are 4-hole buttons. You can either do two kind of dashes side by side, but I like to do an X through the middle of them. Just trying to find the hole in here. There it goes. You can see how nice it is to use such a big long needle. Okay, I'm going to do just a couple more stitches and then I'll come back and show you how to tie it off. Okay, my tails are on this side, so this last step is kind of tricky. I'm going to go down through here and I want to come out, but not through one of the holes this time. I want to come out from underneath the side of this button. I'm going to kind of press the pincushion in there to see if I can get a better angle. That's going to be good enough. So I'm coming out right to the side of the button. And now what I'm going to do, I've got these tails. This is why I kept the nice long tail, so that I can tie this, and the knot is going to be hidden underneath the button. So you don't have any visible knot on the top. Just doing a simple square knot. Nothing fancy there. Push that down so the knot will go in. And now I'm going to bury my tails. So I'm going to go in right next to where that knot is. I want to pull the knot in this direction, so I'm going to go this way. I'm going to come out here, just anywhere on the side. And let me grab a pair of scissors. I'm going to tug on that just a little bit, cut it very close to the fabric, but don't cut into the fabric. There's a little tail sticking out there. You can barely see it. And as soon as you push on it, it disappears in. So I'm going to do the same thing with these tails. I'm going to thread them on a needle and bury them in there exactly the same way I just did that one. And I'll have a finished pincushion. So that's it. That's how you sew some buttons on the outside of a squishy pincushion. And you can use that exact same technique on dolls and stuffed animals and things where the eyes are on different sides of the head. You can use that same technique going back and forth through there and tie the knot, hide it underneath one of your buttons. I'm Wendy from Shiny Happy World. I'll see you next time.